You know I can't resist doing... You know I can't resist doing a call for an uprising. I don't know why. He's just very funny. Let's check out a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I wanted to do a video covering another symbol that has deep-rooted meaning to the occult. People wonder why I cover these things. I have a whole playlist on symbols. It's one of the easiest ways to wake people up, in my opinion.
Again, remember, I started a whole list that we'll probably be adding to in this video on things that conspiracy theorists claim are Freemason symbols. So we'll probably be adding to that list.
Is learning the symbols and then seeing for yourself. I've had many people in my life who have tried to wake up over the years. I found one of the easiest ways was pointing out these symbols beforehand, telling these people to look for these symbols, such as the black and white tiles, such as the pyramid, such as the all-seeing eye, such as the spiral, such as the phoenix rising.
Okay, these are symbols that exist, call for an uprising. You are correct. Stars exist. Gavels exist. Lightning symbols exist. You can point out any sort of, like, symbol. What you have not demonstrated is that these symbols are somehow indicative of a satanic cabal. That's the issue. No one is saying that, like, black and white tiles don't exist. Of course they do. It's a contrasting color scheme. Of course that's a thing that exists. What you need to demonstrate in some way is that it has some sort of connection to an evil cabal of Freemasons.
So many symbols that we constantly see through repetition. We see company logos who have the same logos as somebody else. How many logos for businesses use the pyramid or use the all-seeing eye? You think maybe somebody in the...
How many businesses use shapes in their logos? Most of them.
Marketing team would say, hey, you know what? I think somebody else has already used the eyeball. We're not, this isn't a company of optometrists.
Okay, here's my challenge to a call for an uprising. If you had to develop a symbol for a company, what would it be? And do one that is entirely not satanic and has absolutely no Freemason symbology. None. Okay? And it can't just be letters. It has to be a logo. And by the way, do we need to point out that a call for an uprising's logo has a pyramid with an all-seeing eye on it?
So maybe we should try to use something else that gears more towards what we do. The reason they use these symbols and these signs is because this is how they communicate with each other. And today I want to talk about a symbol that is just as commonplace as the pyramid, just as commonplace as the all-seeing eye, and that is the spiral.
There's another one for the list. Hold on, let me pull the list up. Where did it go? Here it is. We didn't have spiral on here yet, did we? Spiral! Yay!
We see this spiral all the time, right? I always call it the hypnosis thingy because that's what I used to say when I was a young kid. I'd always see that and I'd say, why is that always there? That hypnotizer, you're getting very sleepy. This symbol is deep rooted in witchcraft, Satanism, and the occult. And like many of these signs that they have and symbols that they use, it means a spiritual rebirth. That really, in essence, is what this is all about. To them, it's about a spiritual rebirth and the transformation. We hear transformation used all the time by these elitists. The rebirth is about the spiritual rebirth and the acceptance of the Antichrist. These people believe, if you've watched my
Twilight Zone is satanic confirmed
videos,
I say that as a joke, but I guarantee Call for an Uprising genuinely believes that.
in regards to these symbols, they believe that they will never die, that they will be infinite, and they will constantly have a rebirth. Even when they die, they believe the rebirth will still be occurring, and they will constantly and always...
Isn't that what you believe? You're a Christian. Call for an uprising. You think your death is just the beginning of your life with your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and that's fine if you're religious. I'm not, but you are. But are you really making fun of hypothetical religious beliefs when you're religious? It's kind of weird. Not that people really believe the thing you're saying, because the kind of Satanism that you think exists doesn't really exist in any significant way, but whatever.
Be in control here on earth. That is what the symbol means to them, but this symbol has many different meanings to it. A spiral is one of the ancient goddess symbols as a sign of life as well. It is also one of the primary Wicca symbols. A spiral is created by a circle moving forward. As the wheel turns, you come around again, but not to the same point as before. You arrive at the same place, but on a new level. A spiral line uncoiling is the movement of creation to them. Now, I'm telling you this so that you know what the enemy does, because the enemy can be seen and spotted from miles away if you know they're...
You know those famous satanic organizations like Exotic Sushi. Ooh, Fetcom. Sounds a little bit like FetLife. I don't know. I literally recognize zero of these companies. I don't even know what these companies are.
Codes and their symbols. Now, will you find salvation through knowing this? Absolutely.
Oh, God, yes, Junji Ito reference. Why didn't I think of that? I literally own that manga.
Absolutely not. Salvation can only be found, as I say in every video, through Jesus Christ. Or I try to say in every video. But if you follow the channel, you know my beliefs in Jesus Christ, my faith in Jesus Christ. Salvation can only be obtained through him. But I believe firmly in understanding the enemy, knowing the enemy, and seeing it in plain sight. Because these people are advertising who they are right in front of our faces.
I kind of take issue with the fact that he put this, the chapel, whatever camp this is. These aren't even really, they're just curvy. They're not a full spiral. So I think he was really trying to find spirally ones. Also, this isn't either. This is just dolphins in a circle. That's not a spiral.
The spiral, which represents...
You know what? A lot of these aren't spirals. This isn't either. This is like swooshes. And these are just circles. This is... this one's a little spirally. This one I'll give you, even though it's very different. I just want to say, a lot of these are kind of a stretch.
Death and the rebirth as a movement into the disappearing point of formlessness and out of it again to a new world of form. Now, obviously, if you follow this channel and the stuff with Pizzagate, we all saw that this symbol, a similar symbol like this, is used by the FBI in finding and...
No, it's not. Their source for this is a single page from a WikiLeaks page that claims this. There's been no evidence that that's actually true.
Detecting pedophiles.
Like, there's no source on the original document. It's literally just something that got put out in one of the WikiLeaks, like, leak things.
It is a symbol that businesses will use to let other pedophiles know that it is a front for pedophilia. In this case, the spiral meaning is for little boy lover.
No, it's not.
That is what it means. And we saw it all throughout a lot of the stuff with...
It does look a bit like Time Warner Cable. Oh, it's literally the Time Warner Cable symbol. And he just thinks, oh yeah, I remember that document said that any spiral is that.
Ping pong and the bands that were performing there. Just very sick and disturbing stuff. We see the symbol, of course, used by the occult in the television show True Detective, which I covered. You see the symbol there as well, on the victim's back, on the actual killer, this occultic symbol. The symbol is used throughout witchcraft. It has been found carved in Neolithic rock formations all over the world.
It's almost like people just think that that's a cool shape. Like, oh, what if it was a circle, but it constantly went in on itself? Neato.
see this symbol.
Like, imagine if I took, like, a circle. Imagine if I was, like... That's not a bad freehand circle. Imagine if I was like, this symbol has been found all throughout human history. What does it mean? Is it a symbol of satanic supremacy? Like, no, that's just a circle. That's just a shape. That's just a shape. It's a shape.
Symbol around if you actually look for it. You see, when I watch TV, if I put it on, obviously a lot of times I'm looking for stuff to do videos on, but I constantly am seeing this stuff. That's all I'm seeing when I'm watching. I'm not in an alpha state. I'm not going through it and enjoying it. I'm seeing the black and white.
By the way, let's see. Corporate logos with circles. You can do this with any shape. Oh my goodness, all these companies have circles in their logos. They're all satanic. See what I mean? You're finding connections where there are none. You're arbitrarily pointing out some specific shape that's very common and then deciding, well, if I see this shape anywhere, then it just confirms my suspicions of Satanism. No, it doesn't. It's just a shape. It's a common shape that gets used for things.
The pyramid. The stuff that we all talk about and know is there. The spiral is always there. It is more commonplace than even the pyramid is. And I'm not kidding. If you start looking for it, you'll see it. When musicians perform, right? We just saw Katy Perry perform at a live performance. Behind her, you always will see this. And some people go, oh, hypnosis. Yes, but it's also meaning for them to communicate because they are witches, and these symbols are to let others know.
You know, if I was a witch, I wouldn't feel the need to be all secretive. I'd just be like, hey, we're witches. We have magic powers. We're in control. And that would be the end of it. Because that's how magic would work if it were real. But it's not. Magic isn't real. So the whole topic is kind of moot.
That this is a gigantic occult-like ritual that they're performing when they perform at these award shows. Now you can see a lot of businesses use this logo as their logo, the spiral. And again, remember, think of it from the standpoint of you're starting a business. Okay, just think that you're starting your own business. Would the first thing you think of is a spiral or a pyramid? Wouldn't you say, well, a lot of companies have logos like that.
Okay, a lot of companies use all sorts of shapes. There are only so many basic shapes. If you want like a... And there are logos that are more complicated. Like, look at the original Apple logo, right? The original Apple logo, I like it, but it's terrible at the same time. The original Apple logo looked like this. It was Isaac Newton under the apple tree, right? And then, of course, they simplified this pretty soon. They only had the initial logo for like a year, and then they switched to the more common logo because, as it turns out, people are more able to recognize your company and have brand recognition if you have simple logos. So let's look at some company logos. So logos will typically be brief, they'll be simple, they'll be recognizable easily. Domino's Pizza. It's like a square tilted on its side, or a diamond, however you want to say, with the Domino's Pizza, and then like a domino. It's only in the name. Why couldn't I think of it? Apple logo, silhouette of an apple, Google, G, Cisco. It's got the things that both look like a bridge, but it's also symbolic of the fact that they're a communication company. You get simple shapes. Adidas is another good example. It's sort of like a pyramid made up of 3 different lines. You want it to be snappy. You want it to be easily recognizable and simple. You want it to be something someone can see immediately and know what it is. So logos are full of simple designs. Lego, red square with Lego written in it. Starbucks, circle with Starbucks coffee. You get what I'm saying? This is the entire point of corporate logos. It's a trademark. It's so you know what it is at a glance. It's supposed to be based on simple shapes. Easy ideas that are recognizable. It is not a conspiracy. It's just how advertising works.
This logo doesn't specifically show what we're all about, so why would we use it? Well, all these major corporations use the same repetitive logos. The Phoenix Rising, the spiral, the all-seeing eye, the pyramid. Look how many companies have this spiral shape as their logo. We see it with Dreamcast, Sega's Dreamcast.
Ooh, the Dreamcast. All of A Call for an Uprising's references are from like 20 years ago. The Satanists' plan to introduce the Sega Dreamcast to people. I guess that plan failed because that was the last time Sega put out a hardware scheme.
We see it with Weststart Media. We see it even with Google, in a sense, with their logo. It's all over. The spiral is all over.
Where's the spiral in the Google logo? Because Google either has the full Google or it has the G. Is he saying a G is a spiral? It's a G. It's the letter G. What do you mean it's a spiral? Do you think all G's are spirals? Google Chrome. He means Chrome, which is like a circle with this stuff, right? Hold on. Google Chrome logo. Okay, so it's like this. Is every circle that has like that a spiral? You're getting relatively broad on your definition of spiral here. But okay, I'll give you that one.
It is extremely common. Spiral edge, spiral key, spiral flame. Okay, it's not because they love doodling. It's not because they go, hey, you know, we're an oil company. We're gonna kind of come up with a logo for our oil company here. What do you think about just scribbling a little bit of that spiral zigzag stuff that you see on?
You know, they either, if they're a big enough company, have an internal PR department and an art department that comes up with that stuff. Or if they're a smaller company, they go and they hire a, like, advertising firm to come up with this stuff. There are entire companies whose entire job it is to come up with branding for your company, because that's a huge part of capitalism, is branding and selling yourself to the consumer.
On those
it's good to know Lego Dimensions isn't on the Satanism, too, because I own a lot of Lego Dimensions stuff.
Crazy tie-dye shirts. Oh, it's a wonderful idea. People will see it. They'll know that we're an oil company, huh? Obviously, when you start thinking and using common sense, none of this stuff makes sense. But people don't ask these questions. They just go through the motions, right? Why are these symbols used when they have nothing to do with what the company's about?
Because they're striking, and because it makes you remember the company. Like, if this just said Dreamcast, or this just said Nvidia, or this just said Monster, it would be less recognizable than if there's a symbol with it, too. People are more prone to recognizing and remembering symbols than they are individual words.
The spiral, again, is about the rebirth. And all of these symbols that they use, for the most part, always go back, as we know, Illuminati, meaning the illuminated ones, the enlightened ones. But it also talks about a spiritual rebirth, and that is the rebirth into accepting the Antichrist. That is what this One Love movement is about. That is what this New World
One Love movement, 1965? What?
Order is about. It is about a rebirth, and they believe that they are constant in the universe, that they're never going anywhere, that we're never going to be able to stop them here on Earth. They believe they can defeat God. That's how confident and sick in the head and twisted these people are. But they believe this stuff. But remember now, why it's important to see these signs and symbols, because it's easy to help wake people up when they start looking for these things. They start going, all right, look, if you don't believe in this stuff, why are they constantly using this? And somebody will go, I don't know, I never noticed. And you say to them, all right, next time you watch a music video, every time going forward, look for a couple of these things and tell me if you see it. Then they're watching it, you know, in a state of conscious thinking. And it's not just music videos. Corporations, when you drive through your town, you'll see this spiral all over the place. We saw it at the place right next to Comet Ping Pong. Little Red Fox had it right on top of the building. Why do you think that is? This is them communicating through signs and symbols. The old
Again, if every single thing is a symbol, and as we see, there's a ton of stuff on this list, and this isn't all the things he believes. These are just the things I've documented since I started this list. The color orange, the number 33, butterflies, the sun, 5-pointed star, which is just your typical star, like stars that you see on the American flag or wherever. Pyramids, eyes, blue and gold, black and white, covering one eye, rock on hand symbol, which is, you know, the woo, crowns and spirals. If all of these things are satanic symbols and communication, then their communication is terrible. There's something called signal to noise ratio. If there's so much messaging that you can't decipher anything from it, then it's useless. Like, does he think that no one uses spiral designs who aren't satanic? For one thing, the premise is false in the first place. There isn't an evil secret cabal of Satanists. But even if there were, if they use spirals, well, everyone uses spirals. It's a basic shape. Everyone uses pyramids and eyes and the color black and white together. So they'd constantly be misunderstanding who they're talking to. They'd be like, oh, you're one of us, wink, wink, right? And the person would be like, what? What are you talking about? And they're like, the spiral and the black and white. And they'll be like, I just like spirals and the color black and white. What are you talking about? They would be accidentally outing themselves to people constantly. This is how Michael Scott thinks a secret society works, not how a real human being thinks.
Old saying, right? Signs and symbols rule the world. Confucius said it. There's a truth to that. Because these masons...
I've also never... That's true. The Distant Red says real-life Satanists are less than subtle about it. I've never met or talked to a Satanist. And I've talked to Satanists. I've been in a Satanist podcast before, even though I'm not one, because we were talking about chick tracts, and I know a thing or two about them. I've never met a Satanist who isn't like, oh, if asked about it or whatever, isn't like, yeah, I'm a Satanist. It's not a secret thing. There are people who are Satanists. There are different kinds of Satanists. There are a lot of atheistic Satanists who aren't literally worshiping Satan, but they use it as sort of a iconography symbol thing to denote certain ideas. And then there are actual people who do believe in Satan and magic and stuff, and that's kind of silly, but, you know, a lot of religions are silly. It is what it is. People can believe what they want. Like, it is not... It's not evil, is what I'm trying to say. What's the podcast name? Oh, goodness. It was a while ago. It was put on by the Bay Area Satanists. Let me see if I can find it. Satanic Bay Area. Ooh. It's my old Facebook account I haven't touched in years. That's disgusting. Please ignore that. I'm trying to see if I can find there. Was it the Satanic Bay Area, or was it? Yeah, it was Black Mass Appeal. That's the podcast. It was quite a while ago, if you're looking for the episode. And frankly, I don't think I did a very good job, but that's neither here nor there.
These Satanists operate this way. They operate on a different wavelength because nobody else knows.
I don't remember if it was before I came out, actually.
That this is going on. No, none of us are trained in school to think like this. We're just told, hey, today we're going to study about cloud formations and rocks. Oh, okay. And you learn that. Meanwhile, nobody is ever told, hey, look for signs, look for symbols, because they want you when you're watching TV.
Right, because that's paranoid. You're having paranoid delusions.
To be in an alpha state. They want you to be asleep because they can program you that way. That's how all this stuff gets stored in your mind. You're watching TV, you're watching the news, you're not even paying attention to it, but your brain is processing what it's hearing. And then you regurgitate it the next day at work. You don't even realize it. You go stand next to the water cooler. Hey, you hear about Hillary Clinton? Oh, yeah. Whoa. Well, what about those emails? Oh, I think it's right? Regurgitated conversations, right? Just like they live, the walking zombies. That's what's going on. because people are trained not to look for signs and symbols. If people were, then they would see that the enemy communicates almost in its own language right in front of us with hand symbols, right? The 666, the pyramid with the hand, all of that stuff. It is them communicating, the all-seeing eye on the magazine covers thousands of times over, right? Not doing anything original here. They just keep doing it because they know people won't wake up to it. So the spiral, again, is something you always see. You'll see it in commercials all the time. You'll see it with them saying hypnosis with it. You're getting sleepy. You'll see it behind musicians during concerts. You'll see it on company logos. You'll see it on rock formations. You'll see it in tunnels places, right? You can drive around towns and you'll just see it on a wall. And you'll,
because it's a common shape that people like.
you think the guy just had a spray paint bottle and he's like, hang on 1 second, let me go over to this underneath this tunnel here, I'm gonna make one of those spiral things, you know?
Literally yes. Saying something with an incredulous tone doesn't make it not true. Literally yes. They're like, I'm gonna tag this, what can I do? I don't know. Hi, kitty.
You know, like on the tie-dye shirt kind of thing. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Hey, you know you can get 6 to 10 years for spray. Oh, who cares? It's worth it. It's a spiral. Why do you think that stuff is there? Why do you think we see these signs and these symbols everywhere? Because they're controlling it.
Because you're paranoid, and because you don't understand that basic shapes are just that. They're basic shapes that get used to... Oh, God, I have to wash my hands almost immediately. I forgot I gave her front line today. And I just pet her right on the front line spot. Shit.
People aren't thinking.
I have to go wash my hands immediately. I'm sorry, everyone. Give me 1 sec. I'm sorry, kitty. Entertain the people, okay? Here, I'll even move the camera so you can see her. Hi, kitty. Lupine, what do you think of the symbolism of spirals? Any opinion? What do you think? Yeah? I agree. Let me translate. Lupine says that she thinks that the man in the screen is being silly and probably paranoid.
About that stuff. They continue to go and walk through life asleep. So look for signs and symbols. It is an easy way to start waking people up to what is going on in this world. To me, I feel it's the easiest way. You start seeing it, you start telling people and pointing it out to them, and then more people go, yeah, this can't be, you know, there's something to this. Why am I constantly seeing this crap? What are people just obsessed with pyramids and eyeballs? Everybody wants to be an eye doctor.
You're obsessed with it. No one else is. It's an element for designs because it is a shape. You are obsessed. No one else is.
Doctor? Of course not. So knowing this stuff, I believe, is truly important in knowing the enemy and be able to see where he is, where they're operating, because they do place these symbols on their businesses, on their buildings, all right? So you know where they are at all times. You know they're lurking because they're not hiding it from anyone. It's there in plain sight. The problem is that people are hiding it from themselves because they don't want to hear this stuff. They don't want to listen to this stuff. They want to live in a bubble and think everything's okay. None of this could be going on. They want to be slaves to a system and just do the 9 to 5. This stuff gives them anxiety, or they don't have spines to talk about it.
Or they recognize that you're being incredibly paranoid and need to get a reality check. Probably more likely that one.
Or to address it, or to go after it. I believe it's important to know this stuff. But again, salvation can be obtained only through Jesus Christ. Not knowing this stuff, but through Jesus Christ. Knowing this stuff helps you know the enemy. It helps you awaken others as well as yourself to what's going on around you in this world. So you can protect yourself, protect your family, and help other people find Jesus Christ. Because when people wake up and see what's going on, it makes them realize that prophecy is coming true, that the Bible is real. And then they repent of their ways and they find salvation through Jesus Christ. That's what it does, knowing this stuff. I thank you all for listening to today's show. This is just the spiral, folks. It's another ridiculous symbol that goes back to Satanism and witchcraft, all about the rebirth and the transformation for these people. It makes me absolutely sick. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
Call for an Uprising is always interesting. He's pretty consistent in the amount of crazy. So that's good.
If you've ever had this feeling, have been controlled for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Sometimes when you're not looking for anything, it just comes across your desk, or you just fall into it, or you're just watching. Once you're awake and you're watching TV or watching anything, you see the signs, you see the symbols. There really is no escape, realistically. I was actually watching something on a completely different subject, and in it, this came on in the middle of it, talking about this commercial from Apple for the very first Macintosh app. Apple, and I've covered, you can share, never shipping with other people, which is really important because, you know, there's only so many. You to look at the world.
Yeah, it's an allusion to George Orwell's 1984. It's a 1984 ad.
What are we on Earth? We are one.
Apple
And then the
computer
person-
will introduce
$6.66, and that's of. Don't forget, you know, the other guy, Steve, talking about, boy,
why 1984 won't be like 1984.
I mean, boy, I mean, you got the mask simulation, and you have the. I mean, I get it. I get what it's playing off 1984. I get it.
Do
But when
you? Because you're kind of reading more into it than that.
Talk about Apple. You're talking about, you know, the forbidden fruit. That's why it's named Apple. Steve Jobs.
It's named Apple after Isaac Newton's apple thing. It's not named after the fruit from the Bible, especially considering it's never once said in the Bible that the fruit, that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is an apple. It doesn't say what the fruit is.
Jobs' last name's not Apple. Don't listen to the crap that they tell you. Don't forget, you know, the other guy, Steve Wozniak, or however you say his name, was one of the founders of Apple as well.
Yeah, and he was an atheist, which is probably why they did the 666.66, because he thought it was funny, would be my guess. And then Steve Jobs was like, sure, fine, whatever.
Well, and the first computer, of course, sold for $666.66, and that is not a lie. You could hear it out of his own mouth.
So Steve Jobs went in to sell him some of our little boards that we built for $20. He said, no, people want to come in. They want to buy it pre-built. They want to buy the thing ready to go. It cost us $250 to build, maybe. We'd sell it for $500. And then the retail price was $666.66 because I, as a mathematician, like repeating digits. And that was what it should be.
I would also imagine the fact that he was an atheist and it was back in the day was probably part of it, but sure.
And for someone who believes that's a coincidence, you're just completely foolish.
Ugh. All right, that's a call for an uprising for today. Frustrating as always.